Alright, so what we're going to do today is talk about Code Veronica and what we can safely assume to expect with a remake of the game if it was to happen. I think out of, all of the remakes that could happen, I think Code Veronica is probably the one that most people want to see. I think it's like a toss-up between this and 5. Like, I would personally want to see 5 more than CV, but I can also appreciate those people who want to see a Code Veronica remake. It definitely needs one, I would say. And I'm not opposed to it either. I just don't enjoy the game as much as others. But regardless, we're going to look at it today, see what could change and how it could be with a remake, and just kind of lay some thoughts out. As always, leave your thoughts in the comments as well. And without any further ado, let's jump into it. Alright, so Code Veronica is very much a survival horror game. It's very similar to the original trilogy, and makes sense. It came out around the same time. That was kind of the running kind of style of Resident Evil at the time. There was no action focused game. It was just full survival horror, limited inventory, camera angles, limited saves, all the good stuff. And I really do prefer that style of Resident Evil game over 4 and 5 and Village, because it just feels more intense, it's more horror focused, and it requires a bit of strategy as well. So it goes without saying, the Code Veronica remake will be a lot like the 2 remake, I'd say. Very similar to the 2 remake. So that means, you've got the third person over the shoulder perspective, you've got your limited inventory, you've got your iron boxes, your ink ribbons, all that good stuff that was in the original game should remain in a remake. Now, one thing I've noticed with the original Code Veronica, and it's kind of present in the original trilogy as well, but I feel like it's more prominent in this one. I could be wrong, I could just be remembering it wrong with the original games, but zombies in this game, not only are they tanky anyway, which they are in the original games, regardless, but a lot of the rooms seem to be overcrowded. And I'm not saying that's a complaint, it does make it intense, but you're more likely to be hit and take damage. And it feels like there's just too many in one room. Now, with a remake, obviously you have a bit more control of your character, with the tank controls being removed in a third-person angle. But maybe certain areas could do with less, because even in the remake of 2, specifically, zombies can be tanky as hell at some points, and that does lead me on to another point as well. So in the 2 remake, there's a bit of an RNG system involved, where if you shoot a zombie in the head, I think you have to have your crosshair like completely shrunk down for it to work, but if you hit a zombie in the head, there is a random chance it just straight up explodes and they die straight away. It's completely RNG, but it does add a little bit of a look to your kills. It kind of, I feel like it encourages you to maybe try and fight, because there's a chance that they'll straight up die in like 2 bullets or even 1 bullet. But at the same time, there's also the possibility that it takes like half a magazine to kill one zombie. So it does add a option to fight and maybe risk, killing something immediately or not. And I think that should definitely remain in the Code Veronica remake as well, because it's a fun system. It's also in the original game and the original remake, and it was good there too. I don't think it was as common a thing you would see, but it was definitely a possibility of happening in the original game. So I think that system should definitely remain. Of course, Wesker is present in Code Veronica as well as Chris, and I think they'll probably keep those characters fairly similar to what they are now. It's interesting what they're doing with Wesker at the moment after the RE4 remake. He is being reintroduced, and by the looks of it, maybe he's being kind of changed as a villain. I'm not sure what they'll do. Obviously in Code Veronica he does have some kind of powers due to the virus, but it's not as over the top as it is in Resident Evil 5. Whether they decide to tone that down in this game or keep it the same, I'm not too sure. But having him be reintroduced in the remakes is pretty interesting, and regardless of whether it's the 5 remake or the Code Veronica remake that comes first, I would hope that Wesker is a prominent part of those games again. In terms of Chris, keep Chris the same. Chris is Chris. He's still in new games even now, so I think his character should pretty much stay the same. It'll be interesting how they go with his character in terms of how he looks visually, because obviously he has had a lot of different visual designs and kind of changes to his character in terms of like his voice and stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with the Code Veronica remake. I'd imagine they'll probably keep him the same, but maybe have the same voice actor for Village play him. I'm not too sure. Who knows? But either way, keep Chris how he is. His section's pretty cool, and again, that kind of relationship between Claire and Chris in this game is really well done. In terms of Claire, it's probably not a shock, but I wouldn't be surprised if they get the model from the 2 remake and the VA from the 2 remake to do Claire in this game as well, the same as they did with Leon. And last but not least, I think 2 of the biggest things that will change in a remake for CV is Steve's character and probably the Ashford twins, but more importantly, Alfred Ashford. I think they're going to see a lot of differences with a remake. Now, I'll be straight up honest, I don't like Steve's character in the original game. I think he's so annoying. And he does have a sad backstory, and it is a shame what happens to him. Like, there's no denying that. But his character while he's in the game just being himself, is extremely annoying and a bit of a creep. So I think they'll probably change his character a little bit as well. And then in terms of Alfred, if you played the game, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but if you play the game, you'll know what Alfred's character is like. And I don't think that'll slide with nowadays gamers and nowadays ideas and thoughts from most people. I think they'll probably have to change his character a little bit. I don't think they'll change it massively, but just make him a little bit less quirky, we'll say, and maybe keep him a bit more serious. In terms of Alexia Ashford, I think she's fine. I think they'll probably keep her mostly the same in the remake of the game, but we'll have to wait and see with those two. But I think, honestly, Steve and Alfred will probably see a lot of differences made to their characters. But that's pretty much going to be it. I do have another video coming out about Code Veronica Remake in terms of ways they could improve it, rather than seeing what we could expect. I would want to kind of throw my personal thoughts out there and kind of suggest things that would make it a better game. But that's pretty much going to sum it up. Remember to leave your thoughts in the comments down below. What would you want to see or expect to see from a Code Veronica Remake? Is there anything I mentioned you disagree with? Is there anything I haven't mentioned that you want to add? As always, leave it in the comments down below. But yeah, thank you for coming by. Remember to leave a like on the video if you did enjoy, and subscribe for more Resident Evil content every single day. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.